Yeah, break it down, break it down. Hey, it's that sports song. Hey, all I say is hey.
You mean a sports song we couldn't think of the name for? Oh wait, yeah. It's hey.
Hey, you just say hey throughout the whole thing.
Hey, we're back.
Hey, all right, we're back with a lot more stuff to do, like we promised. Just never-ending things to talk about. I wish we could sit here for like just hours and just talk and people would listen, but you get it's boring after a while, you know.
I think we do sit here for hours to talk.
You're right. You're right.
I think we do.
We do. Just the camera isn't rolling the whole time.
Exactly.
We just love our sports so much.
Exactly.
We love our sports so much. We love our Knicks so much. Right now, it is in complete turmoil. This team. D'Antoni resigned from the team, which we knew he was going to be out one way or another. I just didn't think it was going to be this way. What are your thoughts, real quick?
My thoughts.
Not real quick, I should say. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are when you first said it, I was pretty much speechless.
That was the first.
From the things I was reading on it, it sounds like it was mutual. But I just feel like there's something, I don't want to say resigning equals quitting, but there's something about the resigning aspect of it that bothers me a little bit. I almost would rather him see him get fired. I know he probably wouldn't prefer that.
Right, well that's the thing. He basically knew inevitably he was going to be fired because it's either Carmelo Anthony or Mike D'Antoni, and look, it's a no-brainer. You know you keep his Carmelo. He's one of the best players in the league.
Well, here's my question for you. What the heck happened, man? What is going on with the Knicks? Why are they so bad?
Here's what happened, or here's what's happening. Hopefully now things will be changing. Look, you have superstars in your team like Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony. They're not like really big egotistical guys, but they are stars, and they need to be treated differently. It's just a fact. You treat Kobe differently, you treat LeBron differently, you just treat certain guys different. Now, you need a certain coach to do that. Mike D'Antoni is very set in his ways. He knows one way to play ball, and that's offensively attack. Point guard runs everything. And that's not Carmelo's style. So number one, Carmelo didn't like playing for D'Antoni in that aspect because he doesn't have the ball in his hands all the time. And it's not necessarily a greed thing where I want to be selfish and have the ball, but he plays better when he's the focal point of the offense, and he should be. All right. So now that D'Antoni is gone, and you know, I don't mean it to say it like that. There's nothing personal. It's just not the right fit for the team. I think that's what the problem was. You need to get the most out of your stars, and you got to cater to your stars. The stars run the league in the NBA more than any other league that there is out there. Sure. So you need to find the right guy to manage him. You know, Phil Jackson knew how to manage, you know, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. That's why he's got 10 rings or 11 or whatever he has. That's the deal. You need a guy like a Jerry Sloan who can come in, who has managed guys like Karl Malone and John Stockton. Superstars, not with huge egos, but you gotta be able to treat these guys and handle them the right way. And now we'll see what happens. I don't think that this year it's going to be a magical turnaround, but now that that horrible relationship between D'Antoni and Melo is broken up, and clearly that was the issue, we'll see what happens from here on out.
With the roster they have, though, man, they are just so bad. I mean, they are bad. They went from being, even in losses, they were watchable and exciting to watch to a point where, as a Knicks fan, and I think that's part of the problem. I forget who I heard say it, but I think all these superstars, they came to New York because they wanted to play in New York, and the big light, the big city, the bright lights, and what they fail to realize is people like you and me, we love the Knicks.
Love them.
And it is,
die hard.
it is really difficult to watch them be this pathetic, and I use the word pathetic as probably an understatement. They are terrible.
See, okay, fine. Now this is why they're terrible, and
I'm getting mad, man. I'm getting mad.
They're terrible because of, and it's not directly because of the coach, but it's as a result of the coach. Listen, you said it. They have all this talent, all these great basketball players.
Look at the roster.
Look at the roster they have is right. You have to know what to do with these guys and how to implement them the right way and who plays with who and who gets minutes here and there. He has been all over the place. He's given way too many guys way too many minutes, you know. Who's your point guard? Leonard Baron Davis, you know. Now you're screwing around with that. Look, he just wasn't grasping the team, and whether it was they weren't playing for him or they weren't playing for him in that system, one way or another, it falls on him. You have all that talent. You have to find a way to put it together, and he's not the guy to do it. And it's unfortunate. It's not a shot at his personality. It's a shot at his coaching style. And again, he's not the direct reason, but as a result of his departure, I believe that the Knicks will now come together. Again, not despite him, but in his absence, they'll regroup.
Well, here's the thing, though, is they are currently tied with the Milwaukee Bucks for the last playoff spot. the Milwaukee Bucks, who I believe have already beaten them twice this year because the Milwaukee Bucks own the Knicks, as we just alluded to before when we talked about Brandon Jennings.
That's right.
If they end up making the playoffs at 7 or 8, it's going to be worthless anyway.
Exactly right, because they're going to get bounced by the Bulls of the Heat.
And it's just going to... I don't want to use bad words right now.
Don't use them.
It's just going to frustrate me that much more if they don't get up into at least the 6th spot to make it worth our time to even watch the playoff games. Because I want to break my TV when I watch them play lately. And I just one other note, it's not really about the Knicks. The officiating is so terrible. And Derrick Rose complaining the other night in the Knicks game about the calls he wasn't getting. Guess what, Derrick Rose? You got the best of it, man. The Knicks, if they hit you with an eyelash, anyone on the Bulls, they were getting called for a foul in that game. And they were whacking people, and then they weren't getting a single call the Knicks. So Derrick Rose needs to pipe it down. Aside from that...
But in all fairness, that's probably the first time I've ever heard him speak publicly. That guy keeps his mouth shut, for the most part.
He does. He's kind of like Andre Johnson.
Yeah, he's right. He's a mime. Just
the two of them can do something we're going to do at some point. We're going to have a little telepathic conversation.
Yes.
I think the two of them actually could accomplish that quite easily. But nonetheless, the Knicks... it's just frightening.
Yeah, it's a total mess. There's no we can
Look
go
at
on
the
and
front
on.
line. Look at the front line. Stoudemire, Chandler, and Melo.
How can that not work?
They stink.
How can that not work? They don't flow together. And then Amari comes out. He finally plays a good game against Chicago the other night. But where have you been for the rest of the year? Are you hurt? Are you just not getting the system? Too many guys, I guess, need the ball, and you can see frustration on the court sometimes. You see it on Melo's face, and that bothers me too. He wanted to come here, and I love the fact that I was the first one online saying, give everything up for him. I don't care. I want him. No matter what, I wanted him here, but it hasn't worked so far. And the horrible part about it is that when he's not on the court, they win. And that scares me.
It does.
It hurts.
I was just going to say, I'm on the opposite side of it. First of all, I love Carmelo Anthony, hence Syracuse, but I didn't want to see that trade because I liked what they had going with Gallinari and Felton and Wilson Chandler and Amari. I thought they had a good core of young guys.
But they were still only a 500 team, Craig.
At that point they were.
Right.
And they were going to mesh. But now they have all the superstars. They keep saying, we're going to mesh. You've got to give us time. We're going to mesh. Well, I've been hearing that song and dance for 12 months right now. 12 months I've been listening to today. They're going to mesh.
Right.
When am I going to see it? I just want to see it already. It's enough. Enough is enough. They're terrible. They need... I'm done.
We're going to move on to something else. Maybe a guy who can help us out, actually, Dwight Howard. Yeah, okay? He's going to be gone. Latest news I heard from my sources in Orlando is that if he doesn't sign a deal by the trade deadline tomorrow, or at least commit to signing a deal with the Orlando Magic for the foreseeable future, he's gone. They're going to trade him.
Right.
Now, where does he go? And look, he's gone. This is it. They're going to trade him now. There's really nothing they can do unless they bring in another player to say, all right, look, we're bringing a Rajon Rondo we're going to make a trade for somehow, or, whoever it's going to be, Darren Williams, whatever it may be. That's the only way that Howard is going to stay is if they show him they're going to bring in another guy. Doesn't look like that's happening. They said they were going to maybe trade for Monte Ellis. Well, Monte Ellis has already been traded.
Right.
I highly doubt he's going to get traded again, although you never know.
Right.
Things like that do happen. All right, so now Howard is definitely out there. You got to imagine that the phone is ringing like crazy. I believe Otis Smith is the GM in Orlando.
Right.
Who's calling? Where do you think he's going? I mean, we know that the Brooklyn Nets were... There's still New Jersey Nets. The Lakers are in the mix. Maybe the Clippers, maybe the Mavericks. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, the first thing I'll say is, Dwight Howard saying, he wants to stick around for the rest of the year, but there was a public statement where he said that.
Right. You're right. Last time he said that.
Unfortunately, it shouldn't be his call, because if that happens and he doesn't commit to them long term, he's going to walk out the door and they're going to get nothing for him. And that is a worse situation as far as the Magic are concerned.
Shaquille O'Neal too.
Exactly. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So I look at it one of two ways. He's either going to stay there and sign long term, which it doesn't look like that's going to happen, and I only see one realistic destination for him beyond that, and I think it's Brooklyn.
I'm with you. I've been saying that for about a year
now. It's
one
or the other.
I'm with you.
I'd like to see him stick around in Orlando and have them build around him there, because I'm a Knicks fan, and I don't want to see Brooklyn try and overtake the Knicks, which at this point looks more and more likely. Oh man, I might have to move to another state. But I hope he stays there.
Well, I'll tell you this. It'd be cool if he stayed in Orlando. It'd be even cooler if he became a Knick. But if he may become a Brooklyn Net, and I had said that in the past, I've been saying it for a long time, I figured he would team up with Darren Williams and start running New York next year. Now, if they do that, what do the Nets give up? Well, here's the trade I had proposed. Let's see what happens. Chris Humphries, Brook Lopez, and Jordan Farmore for Dwight Howard. I think that's enough to give up as far as money situation, transactions are concerned, where it will free Orlando up to make moves during the offseason where everybody could be happy.
The biggest problem in that trade is Brook Lopez is, some of these guys who are super tall and super big, their body doesn't quite want it.
The super injury prone.
Brook Lopez is one of them.
I know.
He can't stand on the court, and I don't know that they're going to want to make that deal.
I hear you.
I think the only way a deal like that happens is if there's a draft pick included. I think that would be the only way to make that deal.
And the Nets owner, he's big time into he will spend money now.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. It's just mine. The Russian fellow. So he's got a lot of money to spend.
Something or other. I think his name is
Gorbachev. I don't know.
Yeah, might be Mikhail Gorbachev.
Anyway.
Prokhorov.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, we'll fix that up. So we'll see. Look, there's definitely a lot of teams out there that are calling.
I will say this though, and we referenced it before. Last night against the Heat, they won. He had 24 points and 25 rebounds.
Unbelievable.
And the reason I bring that up is we've referenced before the dominant big man in the NBA overrides everything.
Yes.
And if they build around him and he stays in Orlando, they can beat the Heat. They can beat everyone.
No doubt. They can beat everybody. He needs one more guy, one more legit guy with him.
Yeah, and it's not Vince Carter.
No, it's
probably not Hito Turkoglu, who is better for that team than Vince Carter was. It's not Jameer Nelson. They need another piece.
Hey, real quick, speaking of big guys, the only other real legit big guy in the game is Andrew Bynum, and look what he's doing when he's healthy. Man, is this guy a force.
Same issue, though. It's the same issue.
When he's healthy, and right now he is, and like I said, look what he is doing.
Maybe they'll get Fat Mello. Maybe he'll be smart enough to play on an NBA team. Who knows?
We're going to do something that we very rarely do. We're going to throw a little NHL at you right now.
Yeah,
and the big reason is because Sid the Kid is going to come back from his multiple concussions, and these concussions have become a big story in sports over the past, really 5 years. It's becoming more prominent now, and doctors are more on top of it, and now, even leagues are stepping in saying if you have a concussion, someone's saying, automatically have to sit out or whatever it is now. He's one of the best players that have come around in a long time, Sid the Kid, in hockey. He's supposed to come back tomorrow night against the Rangers, who are the best team in the league right now. What do you think about this? Obviously, it's good for the league, but what are your thoughts overall?
My thoughts are Sidney Crosby is the best thing this league has seen since Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. That is obvious. It's also a shame because I think the initial concussion was kind of a cheap shot, which bothers me a little bit.
Players go after him. NHL's dirty.
It reminds me of the Dale Hunter and I think it was Pierre Turgeon back in their somewhere in the 90s, where it was a playoff game, I think, actually. Turgeon scores, he's celebrating with his arms up, and out of nowhere, Dale Hunter cracks him from behind. It was one of the dirtiest plays I've ever seen in sports. Oh, and by the way, Dale Hunter's now the coach of the Capitals. That's a whole other aspect.
Him and Ovechkin teaming up.
Yeah, so that bothers me. But the point is Crosby, the league needs him. He is a bright, shining star. He's a good dude. He's physical. He's awesome, and the league needs him. The league needs him, and I hope he's back, and I pray for him in terms of his brain injuries, which are really what concussions are, and I hope he can get back to the guy. I mean, look, he came back for one game, and then went back out with concussions, and in that one game, I think he had 2 goals and 2 assists. That's how good he is.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal player. There's no doubt. Yeah, and like I said, the NHL really needs him around because they... we all know that they've been suffering for a very long time right now. And, they got a few good stars in the league, but, they don't market themselves well enough, and it's just not really made for TV. You kind of have to be at the game to enjoy it.
Yeah,
so.
That's one of the sports you have to get better on for the game. And just going back to the Rangers, so they're playing the Rangers tomorrow night. Hopefully he plays in that game. We're going to actually have a very... we have an insider from the Rangers.
Undercover guest.
Coming on one of these days soon, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you. I personally... Just to get a little plug-in, I'm an Islander fan, and I just want all the...
He's one of the 4 Islander fans left on the planet.
And I want all of those who haven't recognized to know. John Tavares, know the name, one of the best, top 5 guys in the NHL at this point. Number 1 first overall pick 3 or 4 years ago, and he has not disappointed. And if you haven't recognized recognize. You've been put on notice.
He's talking tough over here.
Put on notice.
You keep talking tough. Talk a little MMA for the people out there.
Yeah, I'll get to the MMA in a second. Just too bad the Islanders can't win anything. Moving on.
Moving on.
Just we're going to do a little roundup of the MMA here. Just some recent events. Recently, we had a women's fight, which we spoke about.
Yep.
Ronda Rousey versus Miesha Tate. The fight did not disappoint. It went just about the full 5 minutes of the first round until Ronda Rousey almost broke Miesha Tate's arm, and it was very technical. It was one of the best rounds of MMA I've ever seen, guy or girl, and I was highly impressed and somewhat aroused. Moving forward, they've also instituted the flyweights for the first time in MMA, which are the smallest guys.
Oh, thank God! I've been waiting for that.
They're 125 pounds. But look, if you're a boxing fan, which I believe you are,
yes, I am.
The smaller guys usually make for the better fights, and this division needed to be there. I'm excited to see what happens with it.
Real quick breaking news. Speaking of small guys, Deshaun Jackson just signed with the Eagles for 5 years.
Did he?
Little breaking news for you.
Maybe he won't whine as much.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great to hear.
It's an interactive event, isn't that beautiful?
It actually is. We have the 24/7 cycle at our fingertips. Additionally, we have Frankie Edgar and Ben Henderson. We spoke about their fight.
Yep.
And there was speculation they weren't going to give Frankie Edgar his rematch, although he's been giving everyone else rematches. But they obviously got their head screwed on correctly, and we will see that rematch in the near future. And lastly, coming up in April is a really, really good fight in the light heavyweight. We have John Jones, who's a freak and probably the best athlete in MMA, going against Sugar Rashad Evans. John Jones' brother plays for the
If you hit me one more time, we're going to have an MMA fight right here.
We may do it, but I got the bat, so don't forget. But his brother plays for the Ravens, and that's a fight you all should look forward to come April. And then just moving on, what do we got next for him?
Well, actually, I want to tell you that your Giant, more breaking news for you. Giants just signed Martellus Bennett.
The Giants did sign Martellus Bennett, so we were dead on with that.
And your other Giant boy, Mario Manningham, is visiting my team, the 49ers, today. Or tomorrow.
Wow.
So interesting stuff going on over
That
here.
would be, Mario Manningham to the Niners would really help them.
Yeah, you can have him, alright? I don't want him.
Then I could stop making jokes and jabs to you about Kyle Williams.
Yeah, really. Oh, God, this would be
that would be
something else.
huge, though. Mario Manningham with Randy Moss and Crabtree, that would be pretty scary, man.
I'm saying.
That would be pretty scary.
Let's get it going, man. Let's get it going.
Unfortunately, I think the Giants thinking about bringing back Steve Smith, which I love Steve Smith.
I heard
He was a Giant, but he didn't look like himself at all last year in Philly. So I don't know, but they needed Bennett. They needed a tight end. All they got all they got on the roster is the Bear.
Well, you know, it's interesting because what's his name? And I'm sorry, the tight end from Kevin Boss was going to be released by the Raiders, from what I hear.
Right.
And I thought the Giants may want to bring him back.
From things I've read and from my insiders, they have no interest.
They have no interest, huh?
He spurned him once, and I don't think they want to bring him back.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, they got Bennett, so I mean, I don't see any reason for him now.
All right, well,
hopefully Bennett isn't Deshaun Jackson, DeMarcus Cousins, though. I'll tell you that.
Look, more news as we roll along, but we want to wrap it up a little bit with a small, quick fantasy preview. All right, we both play fantasy baseball. Love it. Can't wait for the real season to start. I'm sure he can't wait a little bit more than me because he's a Yankee fan. I'm a Met fan, and
my draft is tomorrow night.
Really, oh yeah, there you go. So a little preparation for the kid over here. We're just gonna give you real quick some guys that you're gonna need to watch out for, overvalued, undervalued, some sleepers and everything like that. Why don't you give them a couple real quick? Give me a couple of your, I don't know, sleepers or maybe your undervalued players.
My undervalued guys are these. I've only owned one of these three ever, and I've owned him quite a few years, and last year was the year where he really stepped up. So undervalued, and he's probably, statistically speaking, at his position, a top 5 to 8 guy. Yadier Molina.
Oh, I like Yadier Molina.
Yadier Molina has never gotten his just due as a hitter. Last year he hit over 300, had close to 15 home runs, 60 or so RBIs. And I love everything about him. He's a hard-nosed catcher, and he's one of these guys that stays well under the radar because everyone knows him as a defensive guy. But he can hit, man.
Yeah, I don't know how late you can wait for him. You know, he's one of the better-known catchers, maybe. But as far as fantasy, you're right. You know, he's
offensively,
right.
not
Excellent
much.
defensive catcher, no question about it. Let me give you one real quick.
Sure.
Somebody who I found ranked very, very low on the list, and it's all because of one bad year. Carl Crawford, guys, is an excellent baseball player. He had one down year in Boston.
It was pretty bad, though.
It was bad. That's fine. A new situation. Look, things happen. Whatever. Now they got a new, Bobby Valentine's in there now. Carl Crawford has been playing great his entire career. He will again. All right. He will be a top 20 fantasy player this year. So if you can wait, absolutely. Okay. If you can wait to the 3rd round, 4th round to get him, good for you. Great. But he's going to be worth of a top 2 round guy. No doubt about it.
Okay.
I'll tell you another guy who's going to come back and have a pretty, now I'm not going to say a gigantic year this year, but he'll have a very good year, and you can get him late, Joe Mauer, all right? People really have forgotten how good of a hitter this guy is. When you're talking about catches, now I know he's not going to drive in a whole bunch of runs, but Mauer has slipped. He's now ranked like 5th or 6th. You got guys like Carlos Santana ahead of him, Brian McCann, Mike Napoli are all ahead of him, but look, Joe Mauer was an MVP, batting title, all this sort of stuff. Don't sleep on him.
Boy can hit.
Don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him. What? Give me another one.
My last 2 undervalued. They play for the same team and they actually have the same last names. I'm gonna give them to you straight, right? The both of them. I've never had one of these guys on my team, and I look forward to the day I'm able to get one or both of them. From the Miami Marlins, I love Anibal Sanchez.
All right, yeah.
Anibal Sanchez is not nearly as good as people realize. His numbers are way better.
I agree.
And the first baseman, Gabby Sanchez, is way undervalued.
Yeah, I like Gabby Sanchez.
I think in auction leagues, he's about like $6. You're going to get your money's worth if you take Gabby Sanchez.
And his RBIs will go up this year, no doubt about it. But,
he's just getting rolling.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, pretty good.
Those are my undervalued.
I got a couple other guys who are going to be pretty good this year who you may have forgotten about. Jason Worth had an off year. He's going to come back and play well. I have no doubt.
That team's getting better, too.
They're getting better. He's going to be able to put up some nice numbers this year. About 275, probably about like 26, 27 home runs. Maybe 90, 100 RBIs. He would be a good guy to get maybe in like the 8th round. Johan Santana's coming back.
Oh, boy.
All right. Pick him up, guys.
Boy,
I'm not talking early. I'm not talking get him early, 5th round. You want Johan Santana.
Look at the next
Look. Bring it out. Look. Come on, man. I'm objective, all right? Johan Santana is an excellent pitcher. I know he's 33 now, but look, if you can wait on him a little bit, grab him.
If his arm doesn't fall off.
And your boy, if his arm doesn't fall off. And A-Rod, too. A-Rod won't play 162 games this year.
You have him as undervalued?
I have him as undervalued.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think A-Rod's going to have a nice year.
All right.
All right, batting like 280. I think he's going to have 32 home runs and he'll have 100 RBI.
Okay.
I really do.
All right.
I really do. So, real quick, before you go, I want to give you just a couple of guys who I think are going to stink it up.
Okay.
Or maybe not necessarily stink it up, but definitely not be as good as people think.
Okay.
Nelson Cruz because of his injuries.
Okay.
Don't draft him high. Kevin Youkilis is getting older, getting a little bit worse.
Also injury. He's a great hitter, but he's always injured.
I've
known him many years.
Stay away from him.
Always injured.
The Phillies lineup is getting worse, injury depleted with Utley and Howard now, so stay away from Rollins and Victorino early on. Take them late. Don't take them early. And another one of your guys, Michael Pineda, I don't see good things happening in New York for him. I really don't, the new pitcher. I really don't. I don't like it.
I wouldn't put him overvalued.
I
would just say that he's 23 years old and he had he slipped in the second half last year, but he's 23. He may not be all that and then some this year, but I think his future's very bright in New York.
We'll see.
Just maybe not starting this year.
We're talking about fantasy baseball this year.
This year. So this year, I'm with you on that. I actually almost wrote him down for the record on that. My overvalued are pretty cut and dry. Potential has always been this guy's mantra, and he's never quite fulfilled it. And I've made the mistake, I think, of trading for him and even drafting him one year, and I will never do it again. B.J. Upton is so overvalued. So overvalued.
I have him on my team every year.
Especially if your league takes off the strikeouts, which mine does. It's brutal.
And it's funny you say that. He's on my team. Somehow I end up drafting him every year late because nobody wants him.
Potential. 230 just doesn't cut it with all those strikeouts.
He gets hot for a while. Yeah, he gets really hot, and then he goes just dead cold.
Then my next overvalued is none other than Alex Rodriguez.
We're on the opposite sides.
I have owned him. I owned him when he was good, back in the, when he was probably sticking needles in himself. And I had the opportunity to keep him this year, and you have him on your list on our blog as number 31, I believe.
I think I'm 31st overall.
I don't have him in my top 100.
Wow.
He has fallen.
In that lineup?
He has fallen so far.
He's going to put up numbers in that lineup, man.
16 home runs last year. He missed like 20 or 30 games.
He was hurt.
So maybe he hits 20.
Look, he was coming off all the steroids. He had a withdrawal year. Now he'll be back.
Honestly, I want you to know I'm not an A-Rod hater. I actually really like A-Rod, and I think he plays a lot harder than people give him credit for. I just think he's fallen a lot faster and a lot harder than people anticipated. And then my last overvalued isn't a player, it's a position. The closing position.
Oh.
So you can get saves anywhere.
Way to go, man.
You can get saves
Way
anywhere. I have people in my league keeping guys like John Axford.
I'm with. Oh God,
The
I
closing
love how you
position.
said that.
The closing
It's one
position.
stinking category.
The closing position is so overrated. There's a few top tier guys, but even still, you still don't keep them.
Right.
It's just such an overvalued position. Anyway, that's what we got for the fantasy preview.
Yeah. There's more. There's more. You can go on. Go on the
around.
website. Go on RufusSports.com, and you can see the top 50 position players. And you can see the top 25 starting pitchers. We're going to add more. He's got his draft tomorrow night. I got mine in a couple of weeks. I don't know. His is going to take like a week to fulfill, apparently. You guys need a lot of time to do
that's
yours.
a whole other controversy.
Yeah, it's a whole other story altogether. But we're going to get out of here for now. We're going to put this all together so you guys can enjoy the show. All right? And what's coming on tonight? What's good on TV? Modern Family. I love that show.
I think the Knicks are actually on tonight, man. I think
No, they are on tonight. But I said, what's good on TV?
Oh.
Yeah, because that's not going to be any good if you want to watch that crud.
I think I'm actually going to enjoy it for the drama and the nonsense
And
of
the new coach.
And the new coach.
Maybe I'll DVR it.
Someone pray for us, please. As Knicks fans, just pray
Whatever
for us.
God it is that you pray to, just ask for the Knicks to
hook it
come
up.
out. At least make the playoffs, all right?
And you can catch everything at www.rufusports.com.
How many W's did you just say?
I said 3.
It sounded like 4.
What's the I don't know how many I said, but I said 3. I meant 3.
All right, fine. Just leave them out. They know to put in W's.
Rufusports.com.
There you go. What does the W stand for anyway? World Wide Web? World Wide Web. That's what
We're brilliant.
We stick behind the web.
We're brilliant.
We're out of here.